247. Hello, hashtag First TV family, and welcome. It's week 247. I'm Aaron Mack, and we've got something special, super special planned for you all today. So stick right here as we start off with the randomly selected questions section of the show. And it will go. And this first question, and I want to be honest. I pressed it 2 times, okay, like I normally do. What do you like the most about insert city of residence? Okay. Kevin actually had this before. And yeah, back when we were alternating who does these questions. As far as city of residence, what do I like most about it? I will say, oh, they do specify. So my city of residence, Metro, is Cleveland, Ohio. And I like a lot about Cleveland. I do. People playfully call it the mistake on the lake. And it's so funny. I was speaking with one of our, anyway, suffice it to say, many people know about the wonders of living on this lake, Lake Erie. And I don't see it as a mistake. Part of what I particularly like about it is, and I used to ask Uber drivers all the time, so what keeps you here in Cleveland? What do you like most? What do you like least? Well, what I like least is definitely the winters, and I understand. And what I like most, a number of people said that they like that it's a small city, but it has everything in it that you would find in the big city, except the cost of living of the big city. So it's like, I love that. I think that's marvelous. Like, Cleveland's theater district is literally second to New York City. Like, Playhouse Square is literally second to New York City. That's a statistical fact. I remember I was with a dude that I was dating. You've heard about him before, but whatever. Anyway, but he came here and we hung out, and I was like, yeah, because we actually hung out right across the street from the beginning of Playhouse Square. That's where we ate. And I said to him, Playhouse Square is actually second to New York City in terms of its theater productions, theatrical productions. And he laughed at me so hard in the middle of that. A lot of people were talking, but he laughed at me so hard, like his chuckle echoed down the hallway. And he actually looked it up and he was like, oh, wow, wait, that is true. Okay. Anyway, my song this week is none other than, I have a lot of stories. Yeah. 2006, I won't be before you long with this because I've got to get to my thank yous. But I won't be before you long with this. 2016's Truth by Gwen Stefani from her album entitled This Is What the Truth Feels Like. So I guess you could say that was like the title track, but the title is This Is What the Truth Feels Like. But the chorus, she sings, so this is what the truth feels like. I love that song a lot. And I particularly love one of the lines where she sings, but maybe I deserve this boy after all that I've been through. Like, oh, yes, Gwen Stefani. After all that I've been through, but maybe I deserve this boy after all that I've been through. Yes. So this is what the truth feels like. Yes. Oh, I love it. And for the sake of time, I won't talk about this other thing that I said I was going to talk about because I was kind of on the fence about talking about it anyway, so I won't. Instead, I will take the time to express gratitude. Thank you. So first, I would like to thank and this is giving thanks, expressing gratitude to everyone around the globe who checks out hashtag Verse TV. Yes, and I'm naming your countries. So thank you. Thank you. And United Kingdom, thank you. Canada, thank you. Russia, thank you. A vision. Anyway, but yes, Bangladesh, thank you. France, thank you. Pakistan, thank you. Brazil, thank you. Spain, thank you. Belgium, thank you. Germany, thank you. United States, thank you. Thank each and every one of you, every country, every individual person. Thank you for checking out hashtag Verse TV. You are appreciated. That's a song by Tupac, I think. You are appreciated. Anyway, I think I did that last time and remembered that song. But yes, you are appreciated. Thank you for checking us out, sticking with us through all the ups and downs and ups. Yes, up. I actually like that song by Cardi B. I do. I know. I'm sorry. I don't want to call myself ridiculous, but I do like that song up. Anyway, so hashtag Burst TV comments. Comments. Are we ready to go into the first topic? Yes. Thank you. Yep. Here we go.
Hashtag penalty complicated. Independent.co.uk. Hashtag VerseTV 247A. Independent. News, World, Americas. Kenneth Smith's nitrogen execution was, quote, textbook, and will be used again, Alabama AG says. Updates. Attorney General Steve Marshall said that after Thursday night, quote, nitrogen hypoxia as a means of execution is no longer an untested method. It's a proven one, end quote. Alabama death row inmate Kenneth Eugene Smith has been executed by nitrogen gas, making him the first person in U.S. history to be put to death through the controversial method. Smith, 58, was pronounced dead at 8:52 p.m. Central Time on Thursday at William C. Holman Correctional Facility in Atmore, Alabama, almost 3 decades after he was convicted in the 1988 murder for hire plot of Elizabeth Sennett. Message article continued below.
All right. So, yes, it's complex. That whole thing, it's a complicated situation. To me, death penalty kind of feels like an eye for an eye kind of thing. And Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said to turn the other cheek. And I understand, though, it's complex, you know, and when somebody takes a loved one from you, it's like F turn the other cheek, please. Anyway, it's like I think about my mom and how cigarettes took my mom from me. So basically what I'm saying is I understand it's complex. Now, as far as death row versus life in prison. A number of my friends are on team life in prison. And some of my friends are like, yeah, I'm team life in prison. Don't kill somebody. We don't. And I think this kind of comes from a spiritual standpoint, but it's like, we don't have the right to take someone else's life. They should just spend the rest of their life in prison. And to that, I feel that it's less humane to make someone spend their entire life in prison. And the friend or one of my friends who said they should be able to spend their entire life in prison because if they've got the wrong guy, then they'll always have a chance to get free. And it's like, again, it's complicated. And I feel that the death penalty is more humane. But as they said in this article, in reference to this guy being the first guy to be murdered with nitrogen gas. And what they do is like remove the nitrogen from the room. So basically they suffocate to death. And they were told it would be 2 minutes, but they actually watched him whirl around and that container with the oxygen being sucked out. They watched him whirl around for about 22 minutes. And I can imagine, as far as talking about stuff being, it seems more humane instead of making them spend their life in prison. And and I know that sometimes people get it wrong. And they send the wrong people to jail. And that's awful. And having somebody live on a hope that they'll be set free because they didn't do it. And then what also happens is after spending 40 years of your life sentence behind bars, if they suddenly find out like, oh, your lawyer was supposed to able to work something out and find out that, oh, actually, we know he didn't do it. Now you're able to live your life again after 40 years. It's a brand new world. Anyway, as so that's why I'm on the fence about it. But as far as the death penalty, it's like I would imagine that for the attorney general and or whoever had to watch him whirl around for 22 minutes before he died, I would imagine that was complicated, especially when you're told he's going to die just after 2 minutes. You know, just stick around for about 2 minutes and he'll be gone. You know, and it's like, oh, this is a perfect way to do executions. And also, in the article, they repeated the word textbook so much that the attorney general was like, it's textbook. It was textbook. It was textbook. It sort of had me feel like he was the attorney general in Alabama is a he. So he was uncomfortable and felt like calling it textbook made it feel better. It was textbook. It was textbook. It was textbook, you know? And it reminds me of, for example, when I do these videos and doing takes a million times of the pre-recording of stuff, doing it a million times. Eventually I get to the point that I'm like, you know what, Aaron? Perfect. No notes. And I'll actually say that. I'll be like, it was perfect. No, that take was perfect. No notes. Let's move on to the next thing, you know, because I'll be up for hours doing stuff. But, you know, I'm serious. I am serious. Anyway, life and penalty, but yeah. And also, I would imagine that as far as the nitrogen removing task for the death penalty, that its cleanup is better and easier than something like the electric chair. Because I would imagine that since the person doesn't sit on the electric chair and then just poof and disappear, the people who have to go behind and clean up after that person has been fried in that chair, I would imagine that's pretty unsettling. It's not like telling or asking a McDonald's worker to clean the bathrooms. You know, it's a whole nother level. So I would imagine that as far as the attorney general, he was probably like, yeah, this will be a cleaner way to have executions. And it's like, it's tough. I did want to say, though, as far as this particular case, it's my understanding from the article it was explaining that he actually murdered this woman. Like it was a very brutal murder, very brutal. And the family did go on the record and saying this many years later, being that it was 1980 something and now it's 2020 something, being that it's that many years later, it's like we've forgiven, we've moved past it, but it was a brutal murder. And it was a brutal murder for money because, and this is tough because it was a husband who hired this man to kill his wife for his wife's life insurance money. It's like, wow. And yeah, I get it. It's so complicated. It's tough. They, suffice it to say, like, it was really ugly how he murdered her. Anyway, and they just thought they were going to get off scot-free. I don't know what happened to the husband who had his wife killed, but the article didn't speak about him at all. So I don't know if it's that he was already executed or he killed himself or something. But this man is the one who was found guilty of actually killing her, like doing the actual work. And I guess they all thought, hey, we're going to get, I'm not even going to make fun of it or make light of it. So, yeah. Oh, this will be the last thing I say about this before the next topic. It's it sort of put me in the mind of the people, the animals who murdered Emmett Till and how horribly they beat him and just messed him up, that 13-year-old boy. And it's like, I get it. I feel like eye for an eye is kind of like not biblical. Nevertheless, I will say in select cases, I get it. And again, he beat her to death horribly, is what the article said. Anyway, all right, comments? Comments? Are we ready for the next topic? Let's go. Like, share, subscribe, share again, and please don't forget to click like. It helps the algorithm. It helps hashtag Burst TV. Don't you want to help hashtag Burst TV? Please. And thank you very much.
Hashtag for future husband. Heart, heart. At tonight's conversation, hashtag VerseTV 247B. Text. What's the last major goal you accomplished? What obstacles did you have to overcome to do so?
Okay. So, in reference to last week, I'll say, FYI, I'm under 9 again. So, uh, life is complex. It sure can be. But nevertheless, I keep pressing. I keep trying. I can't give up. Can't give up. You can't give up either. Let's not give up. We've got to keep going. So, and I'll also say BetterHelp has been a better help for me. And thank you very much. Having a mental health counselor is a very helpful thing. And one thing that I like about BetterHelp is I'm able to write in my journal how I feel about things. And I'll write a very long dissertation because, as you can tell, I can talk a lot. I can also write a lot. And my mental health counselor you have the ability to release your journal to your mental health counselor. And I release all my journal entries to her, and she follows up with fabulous wonderfulness per norm. And that's a good thing. So I will say, as far as my biggest accomplishment or big accomplishments in life, I will say that yes, the multiple sclerosis diagnosis in my 20s did slow me down. It did. And I am Yeah. After a very slow, very long descent, I am rebuilding, and it is good. So I'm trying. I might be under a 9, but I am pressing forward, pressing on the upward way. Do what I'm getting every day. Anyway, but yeah, Clark Sisters. Yes. As far as things that I feel are bettering me, in addition to what I named last week, like going to the gym every week, working out with the trainer, and acupuncture every other week. This is that week now. Yeah. And my stretch guy with Stretch Med. And there was something else, and that after the show last week, I was like, you didn't name that. You should have. For what it's worth, magnesium citrate is really good with helping you stay regular, which is really good with helping your health in general. So that's another thing. And I'm reading Ramit Sethi's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. And it's an eye-catching title. It's not like that necessary. It's not that it's not as corny as it might sound, saying, I will teach you to be rich. That's not what it's about. It's actually a really good book, and I'm learning a lot as far as managing money. And I feel that I'm doing it better than anyway. But yeah, that's a really good book. I recommend it to any and everybody. Ramit Sethi, and that's RAMITSETHI. Also, a fun fact that I learned, in addition to the fact that I love SoFi Bank, I've been watching a lot of videos on credit because, like I mentioned some time ago, I've done a horrible job with credit in my past. And not because the snowball effect and the negative direction with me. And one of Ramit Sethi's things is he talks about invest the money that you make sure to put some money in an investment account. And he says invest in things like 401k and such. Anyway, but yeah, as far as the credit game, I 32. All right. But really quickly, one thing that I've seen sort of debated, that I sort of not debated, but seen people speak on both sides of the fence on with professional perspective. And maybe sometimes there's a benefit of it, but I was watching one of the credit videos, and Ben Stein was talking about his credit card. And sometimes what people say you need to do is you need to leave a little bit on your credit card to accumulate some interest. Don't do that. Unless I don't know why you would need to, but unless you need to, don't do that. And I was watching Ben Stein, and Ben Stein sticks with me because my classmates always used to claim that I was very monotone and that I just talked always like this. That is so interesting. Ooh, oh. And the guy that I talk about when I was in Baltimore, who's actually passed away, but we dated off and on, and he actually became HIV positive in our between our late 20s and his 30s, our mid 20s and his 30s. And I went on a date with this dude who was his best friend, and he did not like me at all. But he was like, you know what, Aaron? I think you would be great for my friend. And that's how it should work in many cases. And that's why that's why we were off and on for so many years. Anyway, don't get stop it. Hashtag Verse TV. Stop bringing emotions. Anyway, but yeah, so his friend was like, Aaron, you sound just like my friend. You all are both monotonous and boring, and you would be great together. And I was like, but I didn't think you were passing me off to him, but okay, I guess, I was in my mid-20s, so I was down, and I'd never been set up fully. Anyway, that's another story. But I met him, and I almost said his name, and it was actually great. And he was not monotonous and boring at all, but that's how people interpret me. And that's the character Ben Stein puts on. And as far as credit, he's like, credit card companies hate me because as soon as I get my credit statement, I am definitely paying it in full. So they will not charge me any interest at all. He's like, I always pay my credit cards in full. He's like, I have a lot of credit cards and I always pay them in full as soon as I get the statement. And it's like, so yeah, you don't have to just hold on to money anyway, or hold on for the sake of getting, for the sake of adding on interest on the card. That's not what everybody has to do. Anyway, and last credit point. One bit of advice that a YouTube woman said that was very good, and I took it in and was like, yes. She said, don't look at credit as like getting a raise or like you have more money because of the credit. No. Look at credit as an extension of the money that you already have. Don't spend what you do not already have on credit. So you can be like Ben Stein. I'm going to try to be like Ben Stein and pay it off as soon as the bill comes. That's the goal. I am. And I'm not going to say I'm going to try to be. I am going to be. Just like Ben Stein. People used to talk like him. Anyway, I think that like, share, subscribe, and share again, please, and thank you very much. And don't forget to click like.
Hashtag underrated hype TV 247. Hashtag Candace. Hashtag regretted in the morning at underrated hype TV. Hashtag Verse TV 247C.
I'm seeing double. That's alright, I'm taking both of y'all home. the trouble. You better judgment saying leave me alone. I'm a good girl, and I don't do this normally. That's alright, that's alright. Pretend it's my birthday, and you can be bad for me. You can leave right in the morning, I promise. Let's get down tonight. Oh, we can regret it in the morning. You wanna go, I wanna go too. Don't think about it, baby, let's move tonight. Oh, we can regret it in the morning. My love will ready, cushion my room. Wake up tomorrow, like what do we do?
Her last few words were supposed to end after she sang, "Wake up tomorrow, like what did we do?" But I guess it cut out early. Anyway, I have loved that song for years. It is part of what I have going on the underrated Hype TV YouTube channel, where I feature songs that I feel needed a little more love than they received. Now, technically, Candace is an indie artist, and I found that song around 2014, maybe 2013. Maybe I'm just trying to make myself sound younger than I actually was. But I know it was around the time that 2013, 2014, mixtapes were a big thing. Like every independent and national artist was releasing mixtapes and all of that. And I was among them, kind of. Well, the reason I say kind of is because technically a mixtape uses like not original instrumentals, but for my project, being silly, but my projects, I did produce them all and write them all, so I guess it, again, an EP, an 8-track EP, and I released that right after I turned 30. All of that to say, this song was around that same time. Technically, I think I was 31 around the time of that song. And I heard it, and I immediately fell in love with the sound of the music, the melody that she sang over it. And she's actually a good singer. Now, I will say this as well. My opinions have updated, but part of what I didn't like, and again, I've since evolved, but her album, her name is Candice, and the album is called Candy Kush, Kandikush, and Candy Kush Smoker's Room. And it's like, I felt it was just so, and again, I've evolved, but so unladylike to entitle the album talking about smoking. But again, I've evolved, and I guess ironically, and I didn't mention this, but yes, cigarettes took my mom from me. She's talking about smoking weed, which is different. Ironically, I remember my mom explained that the reason she started smoking, because before she met my dad and they married, before that, she started smoking to impress a dude. Because back in the day, these bed bugs are insane. Back in the day, smoking was like And it's amazing how much we follow the media and do what we're told on TV. Because it used to be promoted as like an attractive thing to do. Oh, she smokes. Yay. Ooh, that means she's a classy woman, you know? And my mom said she started smoking to impress this man, you know? I'm thinking about that Gwen Stefani line. She's like, but maybe I deserve this boy after all that I've been through. And it's like, not that boy, but she found my dad after him. Anyway, whatever. But yes. So she sings well, and also on that album, now I like this. Again, I have since evolved, but on that album, Candy Kush Smoker's Room, she asks one of her what do you call it? Not intros, but interludes. One of her, a man is talking to her, and he's like, and you got all them F's, faggots, that you hang out with. Why you hang out with all them gay dudes, you know? And it was just him leaving her a message. But I think that was a part of how we started making progress, you know, talking about the fact that she has, most of her friends are gay dudes, and how she's friends with a lot of gay dudes, and people should not be afraid of gay dudes, because we have to remember this was 2013, 2014. And yes, the beautiful Frank Ocean had recently come out, and there were people who, I'm not going to say his name, but I know him. I know some of his tea, but he was in an interview talking about Frank Ocean, and I'm just going on because anyway, but he was in an interview talking about Frank Ocean, and he was like, yeah, I mean, and one of the radio people can ask some really not stupid questions, because at the end of the day, it's all about ratings, but some questions that just really, did you do that? Like, why would you ask that? But they had him on their show, and they asked him, so Frank Ocean just came out. How would you feel about working with Frank Ocean? And bear in mind, he's somebody who I've had a crush on for many years. Still do. I can have a crush on you and accept that you're heterosexual and will not want anything sexually from you. Largely because one of my good friends back in college, he used to always speak so disparagingly, so nastily about confused straight boys. That's what you'd call them. He's like, ugh, I don't want anything to do with some confused straight boy. Yeah. So because of that, that sort of wore off on me, because I was young and impressionable, and that I took that as well. Also to be a self-defense mechanism, to not want somebody who, you know, they are heterosexual, or at least they play on that side of the fence. That's their chosen side. I respect that. That's how you choose to live. That's your lifestyle choice. Anyway, let me stop. But yeah, they asked him how did he feel about working with the gay Frank Ocean, and he was like, I mean, but he didn't give the I mean, but he was like, I don't know, I mean, working with Frank Ocean, he's gay, and I wouldn't want to work with a gay person. Ew. Gay is bad. That's ugh, you know? And all of that to say, Candace on her album having the track that the dude is explaining, hey, she hangs out with a lot of gay dudes. It's like that's cool. Would that be seen as progressive today? No, because we've progressed past that, fortunately. Like we've made progress. Yay. Was it progress for back then? Yes. And how do I know? Because it made me feel uncomfortable. And that was part of the reason I felt uncomfortable with the album, because just like with the Kev on Stage, when he would have gay people that he would interview on his show, and I'd feel uncomfortable because I'm like, you're not supposed to treat gay people like regular humans. Gay people, those gay people are not real humans. Anyway, all of that to say, I had a lot of growth that I had to grow. And that's also probably a large part of the reason that relationships would not work for me back then. I was looking for my man to, thank you to my man. Anyway, but yeah. Oh, last thing, and then I'm gonna stop. But I don't think I have this lyric correct, but when she sings about regretting it in the morning, it sounds like after that she says, but I won't regret it because you're my boo. And I like that because I've always connected with that, even when I was in my younger, very confused state. Yeah, I was younger and confused all the way up to my early 30s. Golly, stop. But yeah, I always thought that was cool to be like, we can regret it in the morning, but I won't regret it. So you shouldn't regret it either, because you're my boo. I'm your boo. And anyway, I love this song. It just sounds really cool. And the album is good. It's very good, minus a few concerns of mine. But listen to it. Again, it was her, I don't know if EP or it was a short album. It might be an EP, it might be a mixtape, it might be both. But Candace is her name. And I think I got the album on like datpiff.com back in the day when datpiff.com, one, was a thing, and two, would allow you to actually download the album, not just save it on your phone. Anyway, all right, hashtag Verse TV family. This has been week 247. I'm Aaron Mack, and peace. Hashtag versetv.com. And stay blessed. Have a good day. Yes. Regret it in the morning. I won't regret it because you're my boo.